So many people have reached out to me telling me they're sorry that this happened to my family. Well, don't be sorry, because this has been happening to my family for a long time, longer than I can account for. It happened to Emmett Till. Emmett Till is my family. Philando, Mike Brown, Sandra. This has been happening to my family. And I've shared tears for every single one of these people that it's happened to. This is nothing new. I'm not sad. I'm not sorry. I'm angry. And I'm tired. I haven't cried one time. I stopped crying years ago. I am numb. I have been watching police murder people that look like me for years. I'm also a Black history minor. So not only have I been watching it in the 30 years that I've been on this planet, but I've been watching it for years before we were even alive. I'm not sad. I don't want your pity. I want change.
It is Friday, August 28th, 2020. Welcome to Raging Chicken's Out the Coop podcast. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. Each week, I talk to our Capitol muckraker-in-chief, Sean Kitchen, about the good, the bad, and the ugly in state and national politics. In today's show, hey, you need more evidence to defund the police? All right. Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old black man, is shot in the back 7 times by a Kenosha, Wisconsin police officer. Jacob Blake was leaning into his car. The police officer had him by his shirt, point-blank range, and shot him 7 times. Got that? Amazingly, Blake survived the initial shooting. Then get this. He gets taken to the hospital where he's handcuffed to his hospital bed, even though he is paralyzed because one of the shots severed his spinal cord. Now, you heard his sister, Letetra Wideman, in today's intro. And you need more evidence that white supremacists are the biggest domestic terrorist group in the U.S., aided and abetted by the police? Okay, I'll bite. Late Tuesday night, a 17-year-old MAGA-loving white nationalist from Illinois drove to Wisconsin with a long gun and ended up killing 2 people, injuring several more. And new court documents now show that little fascist killed the first protester because the protester, guess what he did? Threw a plastic bag at him. Yep, that's grounds for assassination, right? Oh yeah, and earlier that day, Kenosha police were, caught on tape thanking white nationalist militia members for their service. Even handed out bottles of water to them. We appreciate what you guys are doing. We really do. But don't worry, Democrats save us. This is just a total shot. I totally get it, but it's one of these things that I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You see this ever this week? Nancy Pelosi says that Democrats will release Trump's tax return this week. No. They'll release his returns only if and when Biden wins the election. Are you serious?
And that's to save Kevin Neal.
That's right. So Kevin Neal doesn't have... Kevin Neal, by the way, who's had access to it, and was offered these documents ages ago. Back when impeachment hearings were happening. Remember that? Remember that whole pre-coronavirus world we were living in? Yeah, that's right. Kevin freaking Neal. I sure as hell hope that guy's going down, man. Figuratively speaking, in the election. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, you know what? If you help save Kevin Neal and vote for the establishment, we'll release Trump's tax returns after the election.
After Joe Biden wins.
After Joe Biden wins, if he wins. So it's like a threat. You want your candy? You gotta make sure Joey wins. Oh, you pipe down back there. You pipe down. That's enough. That's enough with you.
That's what we do before the election.
I can't. I
he says,
I can't. I was so frustrated this week, I can't even tell you. Anyways. Yeah, and this week was a good week to be frustrated. I mean, Republicans did their best to gaslight the nation. Yep, it was their convention. And unlike most of the commentariat who's out there, or commentariat, or whatever you want to say, Twitterati, whatever the hell you want to call the, whatever you say, I am not convinced, right, that that was a complete flop, and that people are going to see through the lies. I mean, it really was. It was just one gigantic lie fest. I said to Sean before the show, it was like a 4-day window into the parallel universe, right? And if you're watching that, you watched any of that, you saw any of the reporting on it, and now you start to feel comfortable and feel good that Joe Biden's definitely going to win after that shit show, you're wrong. I'll tell you that right now. I watched too much of that, and I am of the mind that we're in trouble. All right? But whatever. I'll just put that out there. Today's part 2. Chris Brennan from the Inquirer published an expose this week on the Commonwealth Leaders Fund and their connection to the Commonwealth Foundation and the charter school movement. Oh, it's a preview of what's to come in 2020, folks. Oh, God. I love the Commonwealth Foundation. Such shits. Okay. Well, and the grand experiment continues. Yes, after a week and a half of classes, Bloomsburg University reverses course and goes all online. Why? Well, because cases of COVID-19 on campus started to double every 2 days. No one saw that coming. Can you believe it? Just like the Republican convention. I saw that all week long. They said, nobody saw this coming. Nobody could have predicted this. Well, yeah, but at the beginning of the week, the university had almost 50 cases. By Wednesday, that number jumped to 90. And they were like, oh, boy, what's going on? You know what I got to say to them? Surprise. Yeah, that's right. And, well, okay, so we can learn from history, right? We know that you don't want to repeat history, right? And you know that there's patterns in the world, or not, because at Kutztown University announced their first COVID-19 case this week. That's right, everybody. Their first COVID-19 case.
Start the clock.
Yeah, start the clock. I wonder what will happen now. Well, nobody knows, Sean. Nobody knows. This is completely unprecedented.
Grit and fortitude.
Grit and fortitude. I don't know if you can see it back on my thing here, but I've got about a 5-pound bag of poultry grit back there, and I've got another bag over here of white grits, right, that I'm going to deliver this week to President Hawkinson's house, because he's going to need some extra grit and fortitude this week. Crazy. So speaking of Kutztown, yeah, now here you go. Throw this one into the mix, right? Lehigh Valley Live reports that a professor told students to go out and get infected with the virus, right? Okay, here's the quote. Quote, I think the sooner you guys get it, the better, because none of you are going to die from this, and we need to have, everybody be immune. And the sooner that people are immune, the better. And so you all should be going to Shorty's every night. That's a bar. Right, interacting, getting this thing, and get it over with. Yep, that's right. That's right. Now, I know this makes some people really nervous. I get it, right? Because, that kind of you can have anybody take this stuff out of context. But, if you see the video that's been floating around online, right? If you see the video, the guy said, he issues an apology. Sorry, sometimes I try to be provocative in class, and I was telling a bad joke. It's like, if you watch that video, there is not,
That was a statement.
And what was most disturbing to me about this, right? It's on a Zoom call, right? From what it looked, at least from the video that I saw, right? What it looked like is he's doing online classes, right? And so you have all these students on a Zoom call, and as he's saying all this stuff, right, seeing the reactions of students, in the bottom kind of right-hand corner of the video that was circulating online, you see the student nodding right along with him. Yep, that's right. Right, and I said, look, we know how this stuff works. We know how this stuff works in higher education, right? How people take things out of context and they want to actually kind of use it for political game. But I don't understand even what goes through somebody's mind to say that this is somehow funny. Doesn't seem amusing to me, right? And that's actually happening as we were getting reports on campus that there's increasing numbers of confrontations over wearing of masks. Right? So that's going to be interesting. Well, on today's last call, I'll tell you a little what's going on with free will. Tell you what's been going on in my life. Tell you what's going on in Sean's life. We'll see what's going on. And as you can hear right now, usually as we're at this point in this show, there's still music playing in the background. And as you can hear right now, there is not. That because is that I'm still getting the sound stuff up and running and working here as I've kind of transferring over my computers. And it's been a little bit more difficult than I thought for some reason. It's just been odd. So I hope you'll bear with us. I want to remind everybody to tune in to the Rick Smith Show on Free Speech TV this and every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can stream the show live at freespeech.org. You can also tune in the Dish Network, DirecTV, or through the Free Speech TV app on Roku. And make sure you download the Rick Smith Show's podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or wherever you get your podcast. And, look, we want a progressive future. We need progressive media. You can help support Pull No Punches, homegrown progressive media today. Become a member of Raging Chicken Press for as little as $5 a month. Just go to patreon.com/rcpress and choose your membership level. We're expanding our network as we prepare for the fight of our lives, the fight for our future in 2020. We're right in it right now. We're all in that for that fight. But now we need you. We're not asking you to break the bank. We're asking you to become a member for the price of a good beer once a month. Help keep the media in the movement, and the movement in the media. Become a member for as little as $5 a month by going to patreon.com/rcpress today. I want to also give a shout out and a thanks to our guests for Out to Coop Live this week. We got a little bit of a late start for those folks who are trying to tune in live. We got a little bit of a late start because we had some connection issues. One of our guests was having some difficulty connecting. But we got it all up and running, and it is posted as part of our podcast right now. We had just a really super show of student organizers in the age of the pandemic, and in particular, I've got some news. I can't believe I put this in the regular show notes. So right before we went live on, I should double check on this. Right before we went live. We have this Kyle from he's a student organizer up in East Stroudsburg University. He's working with this student solidarity committee, and they're building a solidarity campaign with food service workers on the campus of East Stroudsburg. Right, so food service workers are the only group on campus that does not have, say, like paid sick days. They're the only non-unionized part of the workforce that's up there, and they've been had gone ahead or had been in the middle of an organizing drive up there, and these students had built solidarity with them, and they produced this amazing document called the Sword Plan. And the Sword Plan basically the Sword Plan showed what it was like a model in some ways about how we can act in solidarity kind of in our institutions, right? So one group doesn't sell out another. It was a really, really great thing. Anyways, so Kyle was up there. So right before he went to air, we got news that the Aramark, because Aramark is the food service provider there, Aramark had agreed to neutrality, right, in the neutrality card check. Right. So instead of just even kind of going through elections, they said, okay, we'll respect the card check. And then, if I got this right, I'll double check on this in the show. But I believe those food service workers were successful in their campaign to get the union, which is pretty freaking amazing. So kudos to all the folks doing the organizing work up there, and to Kyle and the students that are organizing the Student Solidarity Committee. We also had Jack down from Temple University, where students, the Student Coalition for Change, has been working with the community members and with faculty members about what's happening at Temple in terms of its back to school stuff. Just fantastic stuff there. And we also talked to Nick from Kutztown University as part of the Healthy Campus Bill of Rights. You could check that out if you haven't checked that out already. I'll apologize in advance. This is a perfect example of some of the issues I was having with my sound. When we switched into the recording mode, somehow my mic got switched from the mic that you hear now into my webcam mic, so my stuff is a little bit tinny, let's say, but that's not true for the students, so check that out. So this week, I should also say right up top, this week coming up on Monday, we're gonna have a little bit of a switch of time for Out to Coop podcast, in part because if you listen to that show or you've been listening to me in different areas, my daughter has soccer practice, right? Of course, has to conflict exactly the time that I was scheduling that at the 7 p.m. time. So we're going to move it to the 9 p.m. hour. So that would be 9 p.m. on Monday. And because I was unsure if we were going to be able to, we're going to manage the show, given the fact that I need to be with my daughter for practice, I did not book a guest for this week. So we're going to have an open call-in show. Those links will go out. Anything you want to talk about, again, I could easily fill up some time talking about stuff, as Sean knows. So I will definitely talk about that. And Sean's like, give me the kind of circle thing right now. Come on. But be kind of like open to hear kind of what's on your mind, what you've been thinking about, what your experience been like out there, from any corner, right? I mean, we're not going to have one particular theme, so anything you want to talk about would be a great opportunity to call in. And if this works out, right, if we get some good discussions, maybe this is something that will be more of a regular feature of Out the Coop Live. But then the following week we'll be back for the guests. I've got potentially, well, I don't want to give you potentials. I'll let you know when I actually have it booked. So there we go. So Sean, man,
I'm going to have to be like that person at the committee hearings with the time card.
With the time card? Yeah, you were sitting there all the time. Like you're like this, come on, let's go. Shut your mouth. Come on. Oh man, you realize like this is one of the few places that like I get to talk to somebody other than my immediate family. So sorry, man.
I know. I can tell. I just didn't want you're dragging on for a bit.
Yeah.
I had to like bring it's well. I mean, like also, but just doing like the producing and like other stuff. Just like all right. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, but you're funny about it though. So we're laying our cards on the table. Let's say there's sometimes it's I'm definitely droning on. There's other times it's just like you're like, okay, I just don't want to listen to this. So sometimes it's hard to make it a distinction between like, wait, what is it? Just Sean's impatientness because he needs to go do laundry, or what is it? Because
well, I have like nothing going on now I don't have the car.
Yeah. Oh, poor guy. Oh, good. Okay. So this week, I mean, right up top, I mean, I don't know what you do with this, other than I don't. Well, I know what you do with this.
I mean, I feel like we're staring fascism straight in the face.
Yeah, let's start there. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do it. Yeah.
I think it's just like the simplest way to boil this down. I mean, like you had the gaslighting that was going on with the RNC. I didn't watch any of it, but like the gaslighting and the absolute like production value of it, and like Trump using the White House, like the actual White House, for re-election purposes with total disregard. Like that is fucking insane. Like, and then like what happened with the police stuff going on in
Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Kenosha. But also with the total disregard police have for right-wing protesters.
Yeah.
Not or like the total acceptance, like willing acceptance of this wasn't something that just happened in Kenosha. Like this happened in Philadelphia and other cities around the country. I mean, like there are multiple instances in Philly where cops were encouraging vigilantes wielding bats, fucking axe handles and stuff like that, like, and attacking people in Philadelphia. Like, we have a serious problem with this.
I mean, when you see, yes. I mean,
I watched the video. I'm glad I didn't watch it that night when it happened. Like, I watched it the next morning.
Which video are we talking about?
Shooting.
Of the white nationalist dude shooting the...
Yeah. And then him getting on his phone. I guess he was talking to his mom. Like, who the fuck was he talking to? And he said, I think I just killed someone. He's like, I just killed someone. Like...
He sat there with his gun like this as police came by him. Protesters were pointing to him, say he's the shooter, and they just let him go. I mean, that's on film. I mean, I don't know. There was another incident this week. I was just trying to check.
And then the response from the cop, the sheriff.
Oh my God!
Pretty much saying, well, the protesters shouldn't.
They deserved it. They brought it on themselves, right? If they weren't out there, they wouldn't have got shot.
I mean, like I don't know if we're like reverting back to the 50s and 60s of like that type of like just irresponsive violence. Like, I mean, like, 'cause we have a group chat going on. It's just like one of the things like Americans don't realize, like political violence is ingrained in our culture.
Right.
I mean, like that was political violence. Like, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like there's, you know, the white nationalism, the militia stuff. Yeah, I guess there has been instances of left-wing terrorism in this country. I mean, like I think left-wing terrorism is different. You know, especially, you know, eco-terrorism and like that type of stuff where you're going after capital projects, but like we don't see this type of response from the left wing. Like, you know what I mean? Going out and openly blowing two people away.
Right. So, like, well, here's the other example, right? So you've got Jacob Blake, right? Well, I don't even know.
And that video as well is just as much.
That for me, right? I mean, look, this is just another version of the George Floyd video. I mean, when you're talking about police who are in open daylight with witnesses all around, willing to assassinate black men and women, let's not forget, right? Willing to just go ahead and assassinate them. You could see in that video with Jacob Blake, people were coming out in the streets. He had family members that were there. They were all doing, and they knew what was going on. They knew what was about to happen. They're like pleading no. And there he goes. And it's just like, he's going into his car. He's leaning, trying to climb into the car. The police officer grabs him by the t-shirt, points the gun at him, and shoots him 7 times in the back. Now let's just say, now there's all these people that are out there right now who are saying, you know, especially on the right, or even the kind of like whatever mamby-pamby center, whatever the hell you want to call the freaking, like, well, let's be reasonable about it, you know, blah blah blah. If he hadn't blah blah blah, I don't even care. Some of them said he had a knife. Some of the folks he was looking for a knife. Let me just say here, look, you're a police officer and you're trained supposedly, right, in this kind of stuff. Let's just say that even worst case, let's say worst case scenario that you decide that you're going to shoot this guy, right? You're at point blank range. He could have just shot him in the leg, and that alone would have been a huge abuse, right? And that alone should have got that guy fired and thrown in jail, right? You're at point blank range. If you really needed to use your gun that badly, there you go. But instead, right in the guy's freaking back, 7 times. I mean, come on. And I don't even know how after seeing that again, in the wake of the George Floyd protest, I mean, think about that. Think about what it means to be so cognizant. You know, you're sitting there, you're a cop, you know that there's nationwide protests. You know that this other cop, like, assassinated George Floyd in the street by having his knee on his neck for almost 9 minutes, killing him. And you would think that would make you a little cautious with your fascism and your racism, right? You'd have some interest in your own freaking hide. Apparently not. And given that, I don't see how you do anything but defund the police.
Yeah, I mean, like, I said this, like, on Facebook the other night. Like, these people are our Contras. You know, like, they are death squads. Like, these people are, like, the counter-revolutionaries, pretty much.
Yep. That
will kill people with total disregard and without even thinking twice about it. I mean, you saw that video with the kid. You saw the video of the cops.
Yep.
They will, I mean, like, these people are fascists, and it's like, you know, like, these people have been talking for years in the online forums about the total disregard for life, that how Democrats don't even deserve to live. Like, this is the forum, this is the This is what the internet and Fox News has produced. And like, this is what they're promoting.
Yep.
And this is where we're going.
Yep.
This is
Absolutely.
We're staring it right in the face.
Absolutely. And if you have any question about whether or not this is about this is about the intersection between white supremacy and policing, right? If you
I've watched. I mean, like a couple of years ago, there was the transgender activist that was knocked down the Capitol steps that we talked about, and the cops just let that fucking knuckle dragger leave.
Well, look at this. This is this week, right? This is the day before. The day before that little freaking MAGA fascists killed those two protesters, right? On Monday, it was the start in Idaho, right? It was the start of their legislative session, right? And one of the things, because they're worried about coronavirus, right, they were going to consider some measures in order to keep people safe. So what happened? I just want to read this. This is from CNN, right? Chris Cillizza, who I don't often kind of give a platform on this show, but here it is. Earlier this week, a group of maskless protesters, many of whom were armed, forced their way past police and stormed the Idaho State House. Why? Because they believe the state government is overstepping its authority in trying to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay? Now check this out. Monday morning marked the start of the Idaho's legislative special session to consider COVID-related liability in elections bills. House leadership attempted to limit spectators of the House's fourth-floor gallery to allow for social distancing, but protesters shoved their way past Idaho State Police troopers and security guards. The fray resulted in a shattered glass door and prompted House Speaker Scott Bedke to negotiate with protesters and allow them into the gallery with subsequent hearings. You have an unarmed black man trying to break up a fight between two women, and he's shot in the back 7 times. How many times we see this? Because he was a threat? Here, you've got armed white fucking nationalists.
How many times have we seen this same story?
Again and again and
with
again.
These armed protesters showing up to state houses and going in and like no, like I mean, like, these people are emboldened and are getting more and more emboldened.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that, I think you were right at the very beginning of the show to kind of contrast this, right, or compare this, to put it in context with the Republican National Convention, because it really was, as much as I watched it, it was an alternative universe.
It was like Nazi propaganda. It's like that type of Goebbels would have fucking enjoyed that.
Well, look,
that was the type of gaslighting that was going on.
Well, here's what I really hope. I hope to God, right? And I'm not saying this just to kind of jump on Democrats like I'm prone to do at times. But this is what happens. Look, I think we talked about this before. The Democratic National Convention that took place, as a show, right? As a 4-day kind of piece of kind of campaign literature, right? As a technical production, right? It was well done, right? And as I've heard several folks say, is that Thomas Frank was talking to Nomiki Konst yesterday, and he was saying that basically he came away with 3 things. 1, right? Joe Biden is a good guy, right? True. 2, Trump, bad man, right? 3, I don't remember what the 3rd one was, right? But it was no policy, no agenda, right? This is an unprecedented election, all that kind of stuff, right?
I mean, the platform, there was no platform. The platform is just to support Donald Trump, and that's it.
Right, and here's the problem with that, right? And I think this is where Thomas Frank, I think, was dead on. Is I was actually having a conversation with somebody else earlier in the week, and when he said this yesterday, I was like, this is it, right? Or maybe 2 days ago this was. And it's basically, when you don't lead with a policy and an agenda, right, you leave an open door, right, for the other side to grab that, rhetorically speaking, right? We know that Donald Trump has actually no interest at all, right, in the vast majority of people in this country. He doesn't give a shit if we live or die, right? He doesn't care if how bad our jobs are. He doesn't care what we get paid. He doesn't care how unequal it is, as long as he gets his, right? This has been mob rule, not like mob from the streets, but like mafia style governance. That's what this is. So he could care less as long as he gets his. He doesn't give a shit about any of us. That's why we got, well, what's that, we're 180,000 deaths now from COVID-19. So he doesn't care about that stuff. But rhetorically, this is what he did very well in the last election. Rhetorically speaking, right, he claimed that space of the disgruntled, right, working class agenda, right? The fact that working class Americans were feeling like they have been getting the shaft for decades under Democrats and Republicans alike. And Trump gave voice to it. And yes, he was a racist. He is a racist. He went after immigrants. He did all that absolutely horrible stuff. That's absolutely true. He played to the worst of certain members of the working class, right? All the while, the real game was to get those folks all pissed off down there, but to make sure you organize and mobilize the people at the top. And they all got in line behind Trump, as they're still in line behind Trump. Matter of fact, one of the first speakers of the Republican National Convention was Mitch McConnell, who was all in for Trump. So anytime you hear these kind of like people commenting about how Mitch McConnell is suddenly blah, 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 he's like, seems to maybe parting ways with Donald Trump. Give me a break. He was all in. So at the Republican National Convention this week, that's what happened.
Is he all in because he wants to be all in, McConnell, or is he all in because he's forced to be? Or is it because of mob rule?
Did somebody have a gun to his head? If somebody is going to show you and tell you who they are, at what point do you believe them?
Yeah.
If Mitch McConnell is going to get before, and tell you he's all for Trump, is going to block the appointment of Supreme Court Justice by Obama, and then turn around and kind of flip around and do the other side. If he is going to attempt to remove unemployment benefits, at what point do you say, like, Mitch McConnell is choosing to do this? He's not a victim. None of these people are victims. They have choices, and they're making their choices. And he just made it on national public TV.
Was it Matt Taibbi a few years ago, or someone called him like the crypt keeper of the American democracy?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much with the grave digger.
Yep.
Like,
no, that's absolutely right.
And
he's that, right? And this is, so you got this campaign. I'll tell you, one of the things that you saw in the Republican National Convention this week was they claimed the mantle of middle class. They basically claimed the mantle of kind of like going after the corruption that is the Democratic Party. That's what that's their language. They have they went out strong on anti-corruption, America, bringing the greatness of America back, supporting the working and middle class. And guess what? They must have taken every Republican of color that they knew and brought them to the convention.
Yeah, but how much is that? I don't think that translates. I don't know.
We'll see.
I think at this point, I don't know. I think it's about turnout. We'll see.
I agree, but like, what's the game? Like, what is the game there? This is not about persuasion.
No, this is about fucking with the election.
Right. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, and no, this is about fucking with the election, and really, like, I don't care about like the show they put on this week, because like I'm more concerned about what they're doing with the post office and stuff like that. They can have their show, but most of the stuff is them fucking with this election.
But yes, you're absolutely right. But this is the point. Like, who is that for? Right? That is not for me. It is not for you.
It's for the people who watch Fox News.
It's exactly right. It is a way of rallying and kind of bringing that group and trying to keep them on task. Right? It's trying to shore up your base by convincing your base that they are indeed the wronged parties. This is the oldest playbook in the frickin' books. But the thing is that they did differently, right? Is that now, if you are kind of an on the fence Trumper, you've been a supporter, right? And you hear this stuff about him being racist and all this, and now say, well, how can he be racist when you've got like, look at all these kind of people that he brought up on stage, right? He anti-immigrant. He did a naturalization ceremony on this whole stuff. Whatever. That is what is going to circulate in that. That was all about getting kind of like context and video clips for that base.
They did nothing to expand their votership.
No, that's absolutely true. And that is why the other game is exactly what you're talking about. You shore up your base and you screw up the election. So let's put that in our kind of emerging fascist context, right? What happens, right, when they mess with the election, right? And then what happens if Trump loses? All those people are now wronged parties, right? The election has been stolen. That is going to be that's going to be the narrative, right? And that is what my concern is that the day after the election, those people who have been allied with, you've got the head of the National Police Union there at the Republican convention fanning the flames. You've got white nationalists, right, collaborating with police, Kenosha, Wisconsin, and God knows where else, right? And you've got armed vigilantes going out and shooting protesters now. That is a recipe for freaking disaster if I've ever heard one. Happy days, man. Happy days. So I don't know. It's been quite a week. I have to say. Good thing. I'm just glad that Nancy Pelosi is in charge. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is the one thing about this, and we can get on. But
yeah.
I mean, this is all she did this for was to save Kevin Neal, who I have been quiet on this with the Alex Morse stuff, like, which is who he's running against, Neal. It looks like Morse is still gaining momentum even after, I don't know, the hatchet job.
Yep.
Right. So I do think with Morse, is there ethical issues with him sleeping with a student from campus? Probably. Right? Like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And is that a way of, can that sink someone? Yes. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think the way that they went about it was just absolutely ridiculous and amateurish, and it completely backfired. And it just exposed that this was like an attack from Kevin Neal's groups and stuff like that. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look that, like, he's the guy. Look, he's a pretty.
I mean, I don't see how he looks good over what happened over the last couple of weeks, especially with, like, does that? I mean, now we're seeing why that was an apparent political attack. Neal is a committee chair person, and if he gets taken out, that's everyone moves up a spot on that committee. You know, and like
Richard Neal, right? Not Kevin Neal.
Or Richard Neal? I don't know.
Yeah, Richard Neal. I was just looking up. Yeah, he's the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee, right? And he's it's interesting because Neal at one point, I remember the first time I really even paid attention to this guy. He was like, he was on Rachel Maddow was kind of had a big focus on him at one point during the whole kind of, impeachment stuff, because
that's our congressman.
I'm sorry, what?
That's our congressman.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, he had an opportunity to actually make Trump's taxes kind of available to everybody, right? To the committees, right? Even if it was as a private setting, right? He could have simply just requested this. There's a law that allows him to do this, to see anybody's tax return, right? Especially if there's, certain circumstances, stuff like this, and that fit right in, and he just wouldn't do it.
This is what's amazing about the Democratic Party. Like, they had the opportunity to fucking use their majority in the House as the hammer, especially on accountability issues, and have like hearings and get your message out there and use the power of the speakership, and they fucking squandered it.
Right.
They absolutely squandered it. Like, the fact that it took, like, why weren't we yelling and screaming about the post office when the Joy was put in over the summer? Why did it take until, I don't know, the end of August to do this? When they're fucking with the postal service. Like, it just, like, Nancy Pelosi is Neville Chamberlain 2.0. That's it. I mean, like, that's it. She has no interest in, she's appeasing a fascist in Donald Trump in order to preserve what she thinks are the institutions that need to be preserved. And there's just nothing more, there's just nothing less to say than that.
No, and I really,
and it's a fucking pipe dream that she's doing this.
Yeah. I mean, I would just, I mean, that was the kind of like the moment of deflation for one of the moments of deflation for me for the week. And like, I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention this week.
I thought it was fucking hilarious when I saw it. Like, are you kidding me?
I just was wow. I mean, because like this is my.
We'll release it after Joe Biden wins. Like, no, you can release it now.
Why
like,
would you? Why on the earth? It just didn't even.
Like,
it's like at a
now.
press
like,
conference. Is this what we're gonna do? Like, this is like some kind of. This is kind of like an important statement. Like, who does that even matter to?
She's so fucking out of touch.
Well, that's what I mean. I think that more than anything else is like for me, it was just like, look, this is just, it's not even worth, you know, at some degree, it's like not even worth giving her any airtime, right? At this point, it's just like, it just shows you, it's very clear, right, that the Democratic Party leadership is like really out of touch. I mean, it's just out of touch. It's out of touch, and it's basically. It is stuck now in a narrative that is about internal DC.
They are a dying, death cult, pretty much. These people are a death cult that is just going on. I mean, like, they are a dying generation of Democrats, like, ideologically, and they're just going to just kick and scream and do this bullshit and continue to do it until there's none of them remain. Yeah. Or to where they just don't have power anymore.
Indeed, man. Indeed.
And it's going to take a few more cycles.
Yep. Well, we'll get there. The good thing is we're on our way, right? That's good. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to kind of look at some stuff a little closer to home, right? And we'll go from there. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. We want to remind you that you can help support this podcast by going to patreon.com/rcpress. That's patreon.com/rcpress. And you can become a patron for as little as $5 a month. Help keep the media in the movement the media. We'll be right back after this.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1963. That was the day one of the most important stands for justice and equality took place in United States history. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech to 250,000 people in Washington, D.C. But did you know that one of the main organizers for the march was a man by the name of Baird Rustin? Rustin is often left out of the history books because he was gay and because of his earlier communist affiliations. He was born in 1912 and raised in Westchester, Pennsylvania. He was raised in the Quaker tradition, and his commitment to peaceful, non-violent protest continued into the civil rights movement. Rustin joined the Young Communist League in the 1930s, a time when communist organizers were some of the few people actively speaking out about racial injustice in the United States. After he left the Young Communist League, Rustin spent a brief time as an organizer for a march on Washington, D.C., planned in the 1940s. This movement was led by one A. Philip Randolph. The planned march was aimed at putting pressure on President Franklin Delano Roosevelt to desegregate work at industries with federal wartime manufacturing contracts. When President Roosevelt agreed to issue an order desegregating these jobs, the planned march was called off. But the idea for the march lived on and became a reality during the civil rights movement. Rustin went on to work in the labor movement. He became the founder and first director of the AFL-CIO's A. Philip Randolph Institute, which focuses on tearing down the walls of discrimination in workplaces and within the labor movement. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on the Twitters at Labor History in 2.
Welcome back once again to Raging Chicken's Out to Coop podcast here with Sean Kitchen. So, Sean, looks like we had some interesting reporting going on this week.
Yes. So, Chris Brennan published a expose this week on the Commonwealth Leaders Fund, which is a political action committee connected to Matt Burdett, the Commonwealth Foundation, the Commonwealth Leaders, Commonwealth Partners, Chamber of Entrepreneurs, whatever.
He's the bald guy, right?
Yeah, the maxi pad.
The one with the maxi pad on his face. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
Yeah. So Matt has two of these PACs, one called the Commonwealth Leaders Fund and another one called the Commonwealth Children's Choice Fund. And the Children's Choice Fund has gotten over $5 million from this group called Students First, which is the charter school magnates out of Philadelphia. They're connected to Betsy DeVos.
And that family out of Pittsburgh area too, right? The who the hell are they called? Anyways, go ahead. Students First. Go ahead.
Yeah, but no, not the Scapes.
Not the Scapes. Okay, the Scapes are not. Okay,
this is what these people are connected to DeVos through the charter school stuff. But so they got like $6 or $7 million from this organization, the Students First people, with over the past couple of years, and now Burdett is using the Leaders Fund as a slush fund for the Children's Choice Fund. So like the Children's Choice Fund is this pass-through entity that's giving money to the Leaders Fund, and it seems like the Leaders Fund is the branding front for all the mailers that Burdett has been sending out, attacking Democrats across the state.
So, like, yeah, but I mean, obviously, Burdett has been out there kind of like denying this, right? There's definitely...
No, he actually did not deny this. There is a quote in this story, or a line in this story, that shows Burdett actually signing an agreement with these Students First people, and he has the freedom to spend this money however he wants to.
That's like my single, like, most favorite part of the story. It's like he's like, yeah, no, that's what we're doing.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of been the spoken gun we've been looking for a bit, but.
Well, but this here is a perfect example of the, this is the
big money,
yeah,
right wing charter school interests. The same fucking people who do this every 2 years in Pennsylvania.
Gotta love it. So get your maxi pad and strap up because we're going back to school.
So
is it clear what from the reporting, is it clear what they're doing with the money?
Yeah. So he's spending a lot of this money in in-kind contributions as mailers. So it seems like the Republican Party, there's such a vacuum right now where he's consolidating power. So he's like in the primary, he made like $500,000 in contributions to Chris Dush to win that seat that Scarnati's vacating. Right. And like Dush is going to win that seat. Right. And most of those donations came in-kind contributions. So what he's doing is he's in-kind contribution, these mailers attacking Democrats while lifting up the Republicans. Mm-hmm. So it seems like the Republicans are running all their mailer programs, or at least like he is running the Republican mailer program through the Leaders Fund.
God.
In all these different districts.
The sleaze is so freaking amazing.
So like it says this is like it says please support like John DeSanto, mm-hmm. right? It's like they've like outsourced their mailer operation to Burdett.
Because of course they did.
I mean that's what it looks like with like their whatchamacallit.
Oh, everybody needs to get paid though.
Their finance reports.
Yes. Yes, the gloriness of it. Yeah, so I guess we can talk about this. So this was my back to school week, right, at Kutztown. And as you know, I'm I'm
off to a great start.
We're off to a great start, and I'm not going to rehearse all the where we've been and how the reasons why. I would probably say the majority of faculty are not exactly happy with the decision for Kutztown University to be decide to go back all in person. Kutztown was one of 4 of the state system of higher education universities that decided not to go all online, or vast majority of stuff online. So it was Kutztown, Bloomsburg, Cheney, and Shippensburg, right? IUP has got this kind of weird mix thing. Their first year students are going back, but no one else. And I think that, whatever. So, as they said in the Republican convention this week, nobody could see this coming. Nobody could see this coming at all. Right? You send, it's like, really, it's unprecedented. Whenever in history we see anything like this, there's no way you could have known this. Nobody could, all the experts, nobody knew this. Nobody said anything about it because they didn't know. Right? So, if you take all these college
we didn't see the iceberg.
They didn't. John, they didn't even know that what they were seeing was a thing that was called an iceberg, because no one had even discovered an iceberg before. Nobody even knew what an iceberg was.
It's this big white thing floating in the ocean. Don't know what it is.
They thought it was like, I don't know, like a welcome mat or something, right?
We shouldn't hit that.
Right. You take a few thousand college students, right? Several hundred workers.
Bring them from all around the parts of the state.
Bring them all around, and you put them in kind of like
dorms.
They're all living together, and they're kind of going to classes together, all kind of in person, right? And there's this other thing, you might have heard about this. It's the what do they call it again? Oh yeah, the coronavirus. Yeah, the coronavirus, that thing, is out there in the world as an actual thing, right? It hasn't changed, hasn't gone away, right? Hasn't decided that, like, okay, it's going to play nice now. No, it's a freaking virus, right? And that's been out there.
Causing a pandemic.
Right. Causing a pandemic, right? Almost just about 180,000 people in this country have died. Millions of people across the world have been infected, right? United States has got the worst response of anyone in the world. You know that one. That's what I'm talking about. Well, okay, so that's the context. And now they're all going to go to Bloomsburg University. And now you have a big outbreak. So a week and a half of classes, right? A week and a half of classes go by, right? And they announced last week, they're like, we got a couple cases on campus. A couple cases. Okay, yeah, we're gonna tell everybody about it, but we're masking up. We're making sure everything is okay. This is gonna be fine. Well, by the beginning of this week, they were up to about 50 cases, right? And then by about Wednesday, it was up to 90. And then they're like, ruh-roh, Raggy. We better do this again. Right? Ruh-roh. Right? So, and now they sent all the students home. So now you got these 90 students, some of them which have gone home, right? Some of them which are quarantining in place. Right, and supposedly
now
there's
going to send them back to their fucking
community.
You're
going back to grandma and grandpa, right, in all their communities, right? This is not funny. I don't even know why I'm freaking laughing. I just like, this is so insane to me, right? So, and that goes back, and they're like, whoops, never mind, right? We're gonna go back and do this. So. This is like kind of one of, like, personally, when I even wrote on my forum that I want to be teaching online, is because this alone, just the fact that going from in-person to online classes, that process by itself is so disruptive.
There should have been like an office pool going on with the union on like which date Kutztown will close by.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Like, just like everyone has to draw a number, like draw a date out of the hat. Like.
And then, what's the case count got to be, right? So here's the thing. Here's the great thing, okay? So that's Bloomsburg is now shut down, right? Just this week, also.
Didn't Shippensburg, their fraternity shut down, right?
The fraternity did, not the university though, right?
Yeah, no, fraternities, right? Or a fraternity or someone.
Let's see. Let me just go check it real quick. 3 Shippensburg University students test positive coronavirus this month, right? That was about from 3 hours ago from Penn Live, right? So Shippensburg's got 3 cases, But it's only 3 cases, Sean. I mean, come on. It's only 3. It's good. All right? It's fine.
Pretty soon it'll be down to 0.
Right. I say, so whatever. So this happens. So
if we take them away from campus, there'll be there'll be 0 on campus.
Exactly. Right? It's all in how you communicate the numbers, Sean. Don't you understand? It's a
PR problem. It's not a
right. You saw this, right? Yeah. So this is one of the things I said to says kind of one of the people that's been involved, kind of like actively online about kind of is concerned about what's going on at Kutztown and things like this. Kind of was saying this. It was saying like Bloomsburg did a pretty good job with its this mask up video and program, stuff like that. And I said, yeah, you're right. I mean, they actually did. If you watch their videos in terms of like. About putting together and kind of saying that we're going to mask up and we're going to do social distance, everything like it was really kind of out in front. But I said, but you know what? The virus is not a communication problem. What's that?
I'm sure the comms consultants are happy with the money.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like exactly. But this is the mentality of these people, like these universities. Now
it's not the virus; it's the communication.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing that you got to know, right? Kutztown University, the president of Bloomsburg University is a guy by the name of Bashar Hanna, right? What you got to know about Bashar Hanna is that he cut his teeth in higher education in Pennsylvania, right? His higher education leadership in Pennsylvania at Kutztown University. Bashar Hanna was the dean of liberal arts and sciences at Kutztown University, and then he even got admitted to the provost. And then he was mysteriously forced out of that position to go elsewhere. Right? Now, all I can say is that he was given glowing recommendations.
Wasn't there a story about this?
There is a story about this,
like
right?
Inquirer, right? Or
yes, there is. Right? So this is a guy, so I don't know, allegations of sexual harassment, financial misdeeds, I don't know. No one's got the documents there. But the university, Kutztown University, this is the former President Javier Cevallos, right, was more than willing to give Bashar Hanna a glowing recommendation so that he could go on and get the hell out of Kutztown because they wanted to get rid of him and they were afraid of lawsuits. So then he goes up to Ithaca College. And I happen to know some people at Ithaca College kind of told me a little bit what stuff that was going on up there. And they asked me, what was the deal at Kutztown? And I told them, like, oh my God, it's the same thing. Right? So guess what happens? They give him a glowing recommendation to get them the hell out of Dodge to go someplace else. And where does he end up back? He lands not far from where he started, right up at Bloomsburg University, as now the president of that university. Right? So I say that for a particular reason. I say that because the guy who made the decision at the top at Bloomsburg, right, is the guy, right, who got his training right at Kutztown University. Right? And you had people who passed the buck and produced that. Now, not only that, right? Who else is up there? Guy's ahead of the Administration of Finance, Ken Long. Who's Ken Long, you might ask? Oh, he was the assistant president of Associated Finance from Kutztown University. One of the guys who was there when we're going through retrenchments and all that other kinds of stuff, making the austerity decisions up there. Well, Ken Long is up at Bloomsburg now. Right? Actually, no, that's not true. Ken Long is, I shouldn't say that. Ken Long is at East Stroudsburg. My bad. But I used to get these emails from people who used to say to me, like, why do you keep sending us people? Why does Kutztown University keep on sending us people? Right? And I'm like, well, you guys are hiring them. Right? We try to tell you, but you don't listen, and you hire them anyways. Well, so that's the guy at Bloomsburg, right? So you've got a particular mentality, right, about this. And I can tell you this, is that one of the things that you learn at Kutztown, right? You cut your teeth at Kutztown, you learn that all you're trying to do is manage an image. Right? You don't really give a shit about your faculty. You don't really give a shit about your infrastructure. You don't really give a shit, right, about the kind of the academic core of the university if you're in the administration financing or if you're the president of the university. What you care about is PR, right? And that was something that was initiated under President Javier Cevallos. I could still remember the time when they came to us and they said, hey, look at this. We're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in new signage at the university. Signage. So we have better signs around campus. while there's black mold crawling up the walls of Lytle Hall, for example, right? So anyways, so for this, so that's Bloomsburg University. Bloomsburg University, Bashar Hanna makes that kind of decision. Does a nice little smiley video, right? Doesn't want you to think about anything in the past. Doesn't want you to go read those reporting, the Inquirer and everything about the allegations about. No. Just mask up, everybody. Right? Well, they're shut down now. So this week, Kutztown University announced that its first coronavirus case. And just like, again, I don't want you to make any comparison to what happened at Bloomsburg University, because Kutztown University, it's a completely different situation, right? Fundamentally different. It is not a college that has students that are living... Oh, wait. It's not a college where students are all coming from different parts of... Oh, wait. It's okay. I grant you. There's some similarities. Of course, it's the same freaking thing, right? But grit and fortitude, as Hawkinson has said, right? So that's we're gonna plow ahead, and we're just gonna wait and see how long it's gonna take for people to be hospitalized and get cases of coronavirus, right? That's see how COVID-19 comes. That's how it comes. This is what we've been saying all freaking summer. And what I want people to remember, the reason why I went off on this big thing of Bashar Hanna too as well, and why I'll keep on going back to Kenneth Hawkinson at Kutztown University, is because what I want you to remember is that I want you to remember those people. When people are hospitalized and people are sent home, and when there's eventually going to be deaths associated with this stuff, I want you to remember who's responsible. I want you to remember that Kenneth Hawkinson, and I actually have the video recorded in case they ever decide to delete it. Kenneth Hawkinson went on video and demanded that people go back and have grit and fortitude, and that will stand up against the virus. Right? I want you to remember that guy and say he's responsible. And I also want you to remember, like we talked about last week, we had the kind of the president of the University Senate came up and basically saying, hey, everybody needs to get back to work to make sure we got to save some jobs. So suck it up, faculty member, keep things open and kind of like, welcome the coronavirus, because that's all we can do. I want you to remember them too as well. I want you to remember those responsible, and I want you to remember the collaborators. I want you to say the person at the top, right, and everyone that kind of helped make that happen, right? Not those people that were forced to do their job and had to do their job, right? Not the people that did not have adequate PPE and had to clean the thing. I'm not talking about those people as collaborators. I'm talking about everyone who made the case publicly and everything that this is what we should be doing and would not listen to the evidence here. There's a guy, his name is Dale Parson. He works at Kutztown University. He's in computer science. Dale, out of his own time, right? He does computer modeling and things like this, like these kind of like algorithmic things that I've probably already mischaracterized what his work he does, but what he does, he models stuff, and he was able to model what would happen to the spread of the coronavirus, right? And he modeled it all out and said, this is not going to work. The plan will not work, and this is what we can expect in terms of the spread of the coronavirus, right? And he gave that to the university, showed that stuff to the university and said, look, this is what you got to pay attention to. Didn't want to see it. Then he did a YouTube video that was explaining it even further about like how you track and what the most likely projections are in terms of the spread of the coronavirus on campus, right? Boom, he did that, right? And guess what? After what just happened at Bloomsburg, he's got his model. He modeled Bloomsburg too. And guess what? Right? He missed it by 3 cases, right? His algorithm predicted exactly what's going on, except he was off by like maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 cases, right? This is not guesswork, is my point. And so now Kutztown University is in that place. We'll see. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. But you have 1 case so far. Now, here's the key. And this is how I want you to pay attention to this now, because I guarantee you that Kutztown University is going to use this as a way to try to protect its image and its brand, as President Hawkins said is so important in his opening remarks. The CDC just changed its guidelines quietly, and the CDC basically is now saying it's dropping its recommendation that asymptomatic people get a test, even if they were exposed to somebody who had it. Let me say that again. If the person does not have symptoms, CDC's new recommendation is that you do not test that person. The only people that you test are those who have symptoms. So you have an asymptomatic person who is living with somebody who has a documented case of COVID-19. The new CDC guidelines say you do not test that person. Why am I sticking on that point? Because what Kutztown University has done, and other universities too as well, what Kutztown University has done is they've said, we are following CDC guidelines. And now those are the CDC guidelines. So that gives them the wiggle room to make it look like the number of cases are down because they don't have to do the testing that the CDC just changed. How about that? Follow that. Watch that. Okay?
Which is what Republicans have been doing this whole entire pandemic.
Exactly. That's exactly
and it's been backfiring over time and time again.
Over and over and over again, right? And people are dying, and people's lives are affected because of it. So that's why it's always good news to know that you have a couple comedians on campus that can help lighten things up, right? And that's like,
the punchline.
The punchline, yeah, that was the punchline. So this comes out is a report came out of Lehigh Valley Live, right? About a professor who told students to go out and get infected with the virus, right? So this comes up. Now look, no, I'm not going to be merciful here. No. So this is just, this is not funny. It's fucking ridiculous. Like when I saw the video, there was no joke being made here. This was a statement. Like, you fooled me that it was a joke. Right. Now, again, we should say, right, that according to Lehigh Valley Live report, right, they said the professor comes out and says he's very sorry, and he had just been reading a New York Times article earlier in the day that said, that younger people can't get it or spread it as much, or maybe we should, that we should talk about herd immunity, and he had just read that thing, so it was on his mind, so he made an inappropriate attempt at a joke by telling students that they should all be going out and getting the virus because it won't hurt them, right? And the faster we get to herd immunity, the better.
So there he is using the New York Times as his excuse.
Right.
You see the liberals are talking about this as well.
Right.
When he's just using it as a crutch for the fucking idiotic statement that he made.
Right.
Because there was no joke that was there. I mean, like, what he says, what, like, you hear at a fucking rally with Doug Mastriano or someone like that speaking. Right. I mean, this is boilerplate Alex Jones right-wing talking points.
Yep.
I mean, there's no joke there.
No, and so look, I mean, like, I'm not saying whatever. I mean, look, here's the point is this, right? Is that the denial nonsense, right? This kind of this lies, right, that are being told about, like, immunity, all this other kinds of stuff has penetrated so deeply.
And herd immunity is like one of the things that, like, only Republicans are the people who believe in this. There are no Democrats.
There is science, right, that will say that once you get to the point where you have, like, say, I forget what the numbers are, but like 60%, 70%
of the population,
right? Once they have it, the virus will eventually kind of.
But you have to get there first,
right?
Which means
people are going to die.
Yes.
Right. So let's be clear. When we're talking about this herd immunity things, it doesn't mean like
you don't go from zero to, like, it's not something that just grows on a fucking tree. Like, just like you go from zero to herd immunity. Like, no, there are consequences. And it's like, this like whole entire framing, just, fucking, we have to die for the economy.
Right. And, like, let's look at it. I mean, look,
it's another reincarnation of the death cult.
Right. And this I got to say, like, this is the same thing. This has been, this kind of nonsense in my mind is also enabled, right, by a president of a university who's insisting that we all go back, right, and then we can just kind of get through this. It's enabled by, like, all the nonsense that we see kind of in Washington, D.C. and on Fox News. But, it's the kind of thing, the reason why I bring this up and kind of focus on it is like this, right, is that, like, this is not, for me at least, for other people it might be different, this is not like cancel culture nonsense, right? This is not just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. This is like life and death kind of stuff, right? This is
a professor telling his students to like
right.
not give
now,
a
let
fuck
me tell you about this. This says in our contract, right? It says in our contract that you're supposed to kind of like avoid, you're not supposed to kind of like be having political arguments or talks within the classroom unless it's directly related to your subject matter, right? So for me, I do political rhetoric, so we kind of examine political stuff and things like this, right? And then, but even then, right, having to try to find, be cautious, right? Because, well, not cautious is the wrong word. Let me put it like this, I have like zero interest in producing like automatons, right? And like for me, what gets under my skin more than anything else, right? Just for anybody else who knows, is somebody tries to kind of like mirror back to me my own position to try to ingratiate themselves with me. That like gets me angry, right? I'm curious about what other people have to say because guess what? I'm interested in the world. I'm interested in the way that works, right? Especially in that. That's what I love about education. That's what I love about teaching, right? That's where at my very core, right, I believe in democratic culture, right? That exchange is what I'm invested in. The fact that people have differences and kind of come up, that is what we should be fostering, right? So there's that, right? Now, I am sure that there are other instances with probably there's something that I may have said, like in the past, that somebody could take that out of context, right, and attempt to do this. Matter of fact, that the right wing had done for, about 30 years or so. Right? Horowitz's whole deal was about this. Remember, he published a whole book with left-wing professors, right, listing them by name and targeting them for attacks on the right, right? This has been happening for 30 years, right? So let's be clear about that. Because the right wing right now is saying, like, the leftists are out there, they're trying to cancel conservative opinions. It's like, whatever, man. Just whatever. But in this case, that's not what the issue is, right? The issue is not unpopular political positions. This is a statement about something that could actually lead to the death of people. And at the very least, right, can we please agree that sending students, their families, and community members to the hospital of potential death is not something we should be joking about? It's not funny. So, who knows what's going to happen to this guy? He says that maybe he feels like he's burnt out on teaching and he's going to have to go elsewhere. Whatever, man. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned, and I can tell you this too as well. I don't have evidence, direct evidence of this, but I've had a couple students come to me after apparently this thing is circulating all in different spaces online among students, because I've had some students tell me that other faculty members or someone else in the administration told them about this. Similar things about masks are overblown or whatever it might be, right? That concerns me. If we really care about our students, if we really care about the future of the university, if we really care about the future of our communities, then we need to get some religion on science, buddies. Okay? That's all. All right. Anyways, Sean, anything else you want to throw in?
No, nothing too much going on.
All right, cool. All right, this is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. We will be right back after this with this week's Let's Go! This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. For the past 7 years, Raging Chicken Press has brought pull-no-punches, progressive reporting and commentary to the interwebs. Our long-form investigative pieces, stories that no-access journalist wants to touch, or rollicking weekly podcasts strive to advance progressive movements and perspectives rooted in the struggles happening across the country or down the street. We've broken national stories and caused our share of discomfort in the halls of power. If we want a progressive future, we need progressive media. And you can help support Pull No Punches, homegrown progressive media today. Become a member of Raging Chicken Press for as little as $5 a month. Simply go to patreon.com/rcpress and choose your membership level. We need to make sure to keep the movement in the media and the media in the movement. Best way you can do that is to become a member of Raging Chicken today by going to patreon.com/rcpress. Thank you for your energy, your encouragement, and your support. Keep up the fight. Welcome back to Raging Chickens Out to Coop podcast. It's this week's Last Call. We talk space news, beer news, things that we're watching on TV, whatever it might be. I'll tell you right now, we don't have a whole lot of stuff to talk about for this because we're just like here. And I'll look, this is what I wanted to save this to the end too, as well. Is like, this week is my first week back to campus, and it's been something. It's like my kids, they postponed this. The school district postponed my kids' start of school until next week. So my kids have been home as I'm kind of starting this, and of course, getting everything up and running has been more of an effort than I would have liked. And was starting with when my last computer went down, and doing all that kind of stuff. So I've just been a little frazzled this week. I do have to say, I'm not a fan of online classes. That's not been something I've always wanted. I've always enjoyed the in-person stuff. But I have to say, my students are pretty freaking awesome. And we kind of set the tone in all my classes this week just about, look, I put there are three principles. So like our patience, creativity, and care. Right? So look, and this is going to be weird for everybody. So let's just kind of do this. And we've had some. I have a course. It's called Activist Writing Media, and that class in particular was. It was really interesting that the level of discussion already, right? And part of that is because there's so freaking much that's happening in the world right now. So there's that. So anyways, my point being, I'm a little frazzled this week. I had hoped that by the time we got to this Friday, I'd have some of the sound issues sorted out. I would have the kind of streaming software kind of moved over and stuff, but I just literally didn't have time for it. And there's also all the school activity stuff with my kids. So I come to you today as kind of minimally prepared, let's say. So that's what it is. So yeah, but anyway, so for this week, I don't really have any space news this week. I do want to give some shout out to some stuff at Free Will Brewing. I mentioned this last week, but I haven't had it yet, but I'm definitely kind of want to check it out this week. Right, there's a thing. It is called Earthless. It is a corn lager with hemp hearts, and it comes in at 4% ABV. I'm totally intrigued. I want to see what it tastes like and stuff. That comes in 12-ounce cans, 6 packs of 12-ounce cans at 4% ABV. Seems like a nice way to end out the summer. There is a new offering from Haymaker Meadery. If you remember that Free Will, they partnered up with Haymaker Meadery, and they started kind of selling their stuff through the Free Will store too as well. They've got a new one that's called Weekend Water. Looks really interesting. I've really enjoyed everything that I've had from Haymaker Meadery thus far. This is a sparkling mead with grapes, raspberries, and lemons. Looks fantastic. It comes in what do they have? 16-ounce cans, 4 packs of 16-ounce cans. Most of the mead that they sell there comes in 12-ounce cans. So this is a kind of a bigger one for you. ABV of 6%. Looks really, really super. So I'm looking forward to that. The last thing I want to give a shout out to, I think I might have mentioned this before. It's called the Peach Lemonade Rodfair, right? The Rodfair is basically like a Rodler, if you know, it's like usually like lemonade mixed with beer. That's something that's I learned when I was spending some time in Germany, how freaking awesome and refreshing that is. Well, I hadn't had it yet. Right, the peach version, they had the Rodfair that was offered earlier on in the summer, which I had, which is really good. This peach lemonade one is fan-freaking-tastic. And it's only 3.9 ABV, right? It's really low there, but it's got such a nice taste. It almost has the fruit flavor of some of their mashes, right? Which is that kind of really really nice, like deep fruit flavor kind of throughout. This has got that peach and that kind of bite of the lemon in it. It's just fantastic. So that would be my strong. If you want to close out the summer, especially this, we got some kind of heat coming up this week that's going to cool off, I guess, about next week. This is definitely a go-to, without a doubt. So those are my recommendations for this week. As all, you can always go check out their stuff at freewillbrewing.store. You can order that for delivery through them, or you can actually just stop by the store and pick them up. They got some cool merch too as well. I got to say, I'm a big fan of this one. I don't have one yet, but I don't really have any place to put glasses. But I'm becoming a little bit of a collector of sorts. But they have this 17-ounce Nordic cooler glass, which is just really cool. It's got this like little beach scene on it and things. They also have masks and new rounds of T-shirts where they're partnering up with some local graphic artists and stuff that you can check out too. So I don't know, anything in the consumable realm for you, Sean?
I've been using Amazon Prime like a mofo for the past couple weeks.
Have you now? Oh,
yeah.
What are you watching?
Oh no, I mean ordering stuff.
Ordering, that's right. Oh yeah. Yeah, wait. I thought you said you were going to put up those posters. Now they disappeared from the room entirely.
Oh, well, so I put I don't have the AOC one up yet. I'm going to put a tapestry up back here, I think. I have the one of the Capitol. Mm-hmm. In my living room, mm-hmm. and then right next to the door, and then on the other side of the door, I have a square one of the Walnut Street Bridge.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
you're going tapestry in the background there.
I think so. Yeah, I'm just find wall art put up and stuff like that.
You're gonna get some beanbag chairs on the floor and stuff too.
Well, no, I'm thinking about something like a big DSA or socialist flag to take out that whole entire.
Mm-hmm. You did put a couch back there too, or are you going to keep it real sparse?
I'm thinking about I'm thinking about. Well, I have my couch in the other room.
Right.
So
you're moving up in the world, so you can have more than one couch now. You know that? Just saying. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's happening in there?
So, I'm thinking about putting a table in here,
huh?
Somewhere, putting a table in here.
Mm-hmm.
More or less just use this for an office area and stuff like that.
A round table.
Then, yeah, get a carpet for the floor. Yeah, but no, I'm also thinking about getting a liquor shelf together.
Oh, there you go.
Building up a whiskey collection.
There you go.
Slowly.
There you go.
I want to try to get some stuff different rides and stuff like that. But the thing what's hard, it's getting a bottle and then drinking all of it.
That's the hard part.
Well, no, I mean that's easy.
The thing that's hard is getting the bottle and drinking all of it.
Well, the hard part is
because then you're wasted for a couple days and you're useless.
No, I mean the hard part is building the collection.
I
don't know.
What's hard? What's hard about that? Is it the actually going to the store? Is it the handing over the money?
The handing over the money.
The transporting it home. Yeah.
Wanting to spend the money on doing something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I usually just peek out $25-$30 a bottle. I'm not spending stupid money on fucking whiskey right now.
Well, hey, here's to stupid money.
Well, I mean
you got your eyes on anything in particular?
So for a more expensive bottle, Michter's American Rye, mm-hmm. I want to try. I like their bourbon, their American whiskey. So I want to go for their rye, and then stuff like that. Maybe some Glenfiddich or
Glenfiddich is always a good to have it. If you're building a solid collection, Glenfiddich is always really good.
Yeah. So I don't want to do any peaty roasty.
I was just about to ask you about Lafreg. No Lafreg.
Well, I mean, I tried an Oban before, and it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Macallan, that single malt Scotch. It's just super clean and neat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
More like the Speyside, I guess it is.
Oh man, see, I like the dirt. Give me the dirt. Give me the fucking dirt on fire.
So I want to build that up, and then I got someone from the neighborhood, one of my friends, who's been doing woodwork, to build a kitchen cart, and that's coming
cool,
together.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's coming together.
Awesome,
very and it has
cool.
a nice thick butcher block on the top of it.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting. That's awesome.
Yes.
Fantastic.
So, and then I'll be able to use that for parties. I think it's going to be 30 by 24. So it's nice size.
Nice.
And then I can have storage space. I can put my actual cutting board on top of that. So
very cool.
Looking forward to using it.
Very cool, very cool. I've also, the other thing I've been a couple.
I bought a French press too this past week.
Oh, nice.
Again,
that used to be my the only thing that I used to use, and then I just stopped doing it for a while, and then still have mine. But I've been watching and the what to stream stuff or what to watch. You ever hear the Umbrella Academy?
No.
I don't know if it's exactly your thing, but it's kind of in the kind of dark superhero-y kind of thing, right? It's actually turned out to be pretty good. It's basically about these. It starts out basically there's these 7 kids, I guess. That I guess there's 14 total, but there's 7 in particular they're all born on the same day. Right, from mothers who were not pregnant in the morning, but then gave birth like later on the night. So this kind of like this thing happens, right? So this kind of aberration. You don't really know at this point what has actually gone on. And so there's this billionaire dude who says oh, something weird is going on, so I'm going to go buy these kids up, right? Kind of adopt them or whatever. And then he starts this thing, the Umbrella Academy. It's kind of like X-Men-ish kind of thing where like Xavier's School for the Gifted or whatever. So it's the Umbrella Academy, but it's like set up as a family. But this is like years in the future, or years. I'm not years in the future, but it's not when they're kids. You get some of the flashbacks, but it's like, it's like they're whatever. You're learning about their families, and they're coming back to those really strained relationships among members of the families and all this stuff. But it's been kind of cool. It's been a nice diversion. So it's like a little treat that I'll give myself after like at 12:30 at night after I've spent my entire time working and I can't work anymore to get some stuff done for my classes that I watch it. So that's been pretty good. I've been waiting to start The Rain, but I've got I think I mentioned this before. It's one of the Scandinavian films or TV shows that I watch. One of these, again, this dystopian kind of future kind of stuff, which was excellent. I've watched the first 2 seasons. They just released the season 3, so that's coming up too as well. So I'm looking forward to that. How about you, Sean? Been watching anything?
No, not really. Watching the Flyers.
Oh, there you go.
So.
Oh, I can't believe we didn't mention the Bucks, man. And the strikes that are going on. I can't believe that was not up top. I don't know why.
I was thinking about it and I forgot to bring it up. But no, I mean, the fact that they were able to get all the major sports to have stopped games for 2 days is pretty fucking powerful.
I'll say.
I mean, I personally would love to have seen them just ditch the season, but they do have a platform. I mean, that is true with that. So.
Well, I loved one of the frames of that when they said that we're stopping playing because we don't want to distract people from what's actually going on. I thought when I saw that, I can't remember who said that. I was like, that's freaking awesome, right? That idea that no. We're not going to be the kind of dog and pony show, so to draw your attention away from what's actually happening in the streets when it comes to Black lives, and that's pretty amazing. So.
It's also, you got to think about how many of these white people who are absolute racists make money off the backs of these basketball players through gambling, sports betting, and stuff like that. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the amount of money that gets transferred and all.
Absolutely.
So
cool, man. Well, here's our kind of our day. You got anything else for the good of the order?
I might. Yeah, no, that's about it. I was going to say I want to get to the liquor store to order me a bottle of whiskey.
But, you got you juiced up for it. got you motivated. There you go. All right, man. Well, hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in once again. Want to remind you that on Monday night we'll have a special call-in night. Open call-in for Out to Coop Live at 9 p.m. You'll see some information about that all over social media, our social media sites. So please, if you like this show, make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe. When you're on our YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll kind of help us build this out even more. It'd be fantastic. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. Want to remind you, become a patron for as little as $5 a month by going to patreon.com/rcpress today. All right, everybody. We're heading out into the weekend. Stay safe. Stay in the struggle. Talk to you soon.
So many people have reached out to me telling me they're sorry that this happened to my family. Well, don't be sorry, because this has been happening to my family for a long time, longer than I can account for. It happened to Emmett Till. Emmett Till is my family. Philando, Mike Brown, Sandra. This has been happening to my family. And I've shared tears for every single one of these people that it's happened to. This is nothing new. I'm not sad. I'm not sorry. I'm angry. And I'm tired. I haven't cried one time. I stopped crying years ago. I am numb. I have been watching police murder people that look like me for years. I'm also a Black History minor. So not only have I been watching it in the 30 years that I've been on this planet, but I've been watching it for years before we were even alive. I'm not sad. I don't want your pity. I want change.